I know. Exams are just around the corner, and this chapter seems huge. But don't you worry one bit. We're going to break it down together. Just imagine, an empire so big it stretched across 3 whole continents and treated an entire sea like it was its own private swimming pool. Let's get right into the amazing story of the Roman Empire.
Hello my dear students and welcome back to the channel. It's so good to see you all here. Chalo, no time to waste. Let's get into our fast revision of the Roman Empire and get you all ready for your exams. And hey, if you find this useful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and please leave a comment. I absolutely love reading what you guys think.
All right, first up, let's try to get our heads around just how massive this empire really was. And when I say massive, I mean it's just mind-bogglingly big.
Just take a look at this map, will you? The Roman Empire wasn't just on one continent, it was on 3: Europe, Africa, and Asia. It went all the way from Britain, way up in the north, down to Egypt in the south. And you see that big patch of blue right in the middle? That's the Mediterranean Sea. For the Romans, this was everything. It was like their giant lake, connecting their whole world. They actually called it Mare Nostrum, which means our sea.
Now you gotta remember, Rome wasn't playing alone. They had a huge rival right next door, the Iranian Empire. You can think of it like an India-Pakistan cricket match. Always a big deal, always intense. Now, for your exams, here's the key difference you need to know. Rome had one single powerful emperor and was a real melting pot of different cultures. Iran, on the other hand, was ruled by a dynasty. That just means the same family passed down power, and its people were much more alike.
Okay, so you have this gigantic empire, but who was actually in charge? Who was really pulling all the strings? Let's take a look at how the power was structured.
Believe it or not, it's kinda simple. Just think of it like a stool with 3 legs holding everything up. The first leg was, of course, the emperor. He's the king, the big boss. The second leg was the Senate. Think of them as a club of really rich and powerful families. And the third leg, and this one is super important, was the army. And these weren't just any soldiers. They were professionals. They got paid, and believe me, no emperor could survive for long without their support.
So think about it. There's no TV, no internet, right? How would some guy in a tiny village know who the emperor was? Simple. They used coins. Just look at this. The emperors put their own faces on the money. It was basically their personal branding, kind of like their Instagram DP sent out to every corner of the empire. What a brilliant idea to make sure everyone knew who was the boss.
All right, enough about all the kings and armies and politics. What about the normal people, like you and me? What was their daily life really like? Let's take a peek into their homes and see how they lived.
Okay, Roman families, this is super interesting because it was so different from what many of us are used to in India with our joint families. In Rome, it was all about the nuclear family. That means just the husband, the wife, and their kids. As soon as the son grew up and got married, he would move out and start his own home. A very different way of life, isn't it?
But of course, daily life wasn't the same for everyone. Not even close. If you were rich, wow, look at this. You lived in a beautiful house full of art and fountains. But for most people, well, their life looked a lot more like this other picture. Just long, hard days working on farms or in small workshops. The gap between the rich and the poor was just massive.
But hey, it wasn't all just hard work. The Romans really knew how to have fun. And this is the famous Colosseum. It was basically their version of a giant cricket stadium. Imagine Eden Gardens or Wankhede Stadium. But instead of watching Virat Kohli hit a 6, they watched gladiator fights and huge public shows. Crazy, right? It could fit 50,000 people.
Now, running an empire this big, with all those soldiers and massive buildings, that costs a lot of money. Rupees, crores of rupees. So where did all this treasure come from? Let's talk about their economy.
Wow, just look at all those pots. These things are called Amphorae. And you can just think of them as the Amazon or Flipkart boxes of their time. Seriously, they would ship millions of these, packed with wine, olive oil, grain, you name it, all across the sea. This was a huge business. So how did their whole trade system work so well? Well, it was a really smart 4-step process. Step 1, make stuff that everyone wants, like wine and olive oil. Step 2, use that giant sea as a superhighway to send goods everywhere. Step 3, they built amazing Paka roads, strong roads to connect all their cities. And Step 4, sell in the markets and make tons and tons of money. A perfect system. But
we have to talk about something really important and very sad. There's a dark side to all this wealth and success. This whole amazing economy was built on the backs of slaves. Slavery was everywhere in the Roman Empire. It was a terribly cruel system where human beings were treated like property. It's something we must never forget.
All right, everyone, focus up. This is the exam corner. Let's practice some super common questions that you are very, very likely to see on your exam paper. Pay close attention.
Okay, question number 1, and trust me, teachers love asking this one. What were the 3 main players or pillars in Roman politics? Come on, think about that stool we talked about. Remember the 3 legs? What were they?
Okay, did you get it? Here's how you write the perfect answer. First, the emperor. He was the supreme ruler. Second, the Senate, which was made up of rich, upper-class families. And third, the army, the powerful, professional soldiers. You just write these 3 points down, add a little detail for each, and boom, full marks guaranteed.
All right, next question. This is another very important one. Describe the role of the Mediterranean Sea in the Roman Empire. Think about that map we saw. Think about all those delivery pots we talked about.
And here are your magic words for the answer. 1, it was the heart of the empire because it connected the 3 continents. 2, it was the artery of commerce, like a main road for all their trade. And 3, it was the key to control because their navy could rule the seas. Heart, artery, control. Remember those 3 words and you're golden.
And there we have it. Revision done. See? This chapter wasn't so scary after all, right? You all are so smart, and I know you're going to be amazing in your exams. I have complete faith in you, Bacho. You've totally got this. All the very best.
But just before you go, one last thing to think about. You know the Romans built roads and water systems 2,000 years ago that are still standing today. And sometimes our roads here can't even survive one single monsoon, right? So what do you think we can learn from their amazing engineering? Really makes you think, doesn't it? Drop your ideas in the comments. I would love to see what you come up with. Okay, bye for now, and happy studying.